Hey everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day so far, and thanks for tuning in into the purchase order training module video. In this video, we'll be going over the purchase order module and showing you some best tips and practices on how to use it. So to get things started, let's head over to our dashboard and down to purchase orders under financials. Now in the dashboard, you'll see it's very familiar and very similar to the other dashboards we have within Contractor Foreman. If you scroll down, you can see a list of all the different purchase orders you have, the project, supplier, status, and if you're looking for a specific purchase order, you can go to the top left-hand corner, search for purchase orders, and if you'd like a different view, you can also view our card view as well, which is sort of a Kanban style, and you can filter via status instead. If you prefer this view, you can actually make it your default view as well. We go back, you can see we also have a filter button where you can look for a new purchase order based off the project, the supplier, status, type, record status if it's active or archived, which will help you find the purchase order you're looking for much quicker. On the top right hand corner, you'll see some buttons which are, again, very similar to the other ones that you see in the other modules. We have our watch a how-to video, which is likely how you got this video in the first place. And there's also a number of articles we recommend you checking out which go over the purchase orders in more detail. We also have a suggest a new feature button. We're always looking to improve at Contractor Foreman, and we're always getting feedback from our users. If you have a thought, improvement, suggestion in mind, please feel free to drop us a note. We're always monitoring this inbox and we're always looking to improve, and we'll get back to you on that. Lastly, we have our module settings button. Add custom fields to the purchase orders if you'd like. You can change the project selection options, the status colors, the status names, in order to make it more efficient for you. In order to make a new purchase order, we'll go ahead to the top right hand corner and click on plus purchase order. Now once here, there's a few different things for us to fill out. Please note that any item that has an asterisk right beside it means it has to be filled out in order to continue. So for this, we'll select one of our existing projects. If you have questions about how to get a project here or about the project module, feel free to check out our video training on projects. There's two types that we can choose. One is a purchase order and one is a pricing request. If you already have the quote or the bill from your vendor or subcontractor or whoever you're looking to send this purchase order to, and you know what the item units are, how much it's going to cost you, you can go ahead and fill out the purchase order. However, if you're looking to get a quote from a vendor or numerous vendors, you can use our pricing request model. This way, you can send out the purchase order with the list of line items with the items that you're looking for, and the vendor can go ahead and fill out all the information and the cost associated with that and send it back to you. And that way you can take a look at all the different costs that are coming from the different vendors and choose the one that best fits your needs. For this example, we'll be going ahead and making a purchase order. We'll go ahead and call this 2x4 framing. This is coming from myself, which I'm going to send to the vendor. And for the supplier, I'm going to choose one of my vendors, BuildMart Pro Supply. And I'll hit create purchase order. Once you make a new PO, there's a few more things that you can fill out. As you can see, the information that we filled out in the previous screen is carried over here. We can also set the order date now for when we'd like to place the order, as well as the payment terms. If you have any payment terms that aren't listed on here, you can just simply type it in. You can add a reference number if you have a quote number, as well as a description of what this PO is for. For this, I'll put 2x4 framing lumber and associated nails. We can set the shipping point to let the vendor know where we'd like a product to go. For this project, I'll put project address, as well as a delivery date for when we'd like it to get arrived. We can put ship via if needed, put FedEx, and state the FOB point, which is the point where the transaction happens between the supplier and the purchaser. In addition, we can manually update the status of the PO by putting pricing request, approved, or the associated buttons as needed, including clicking on the draft and updating it as needed. There's a few more things for us to take a look at on the left-hand side. If we go to items, start importing the list of items that we need to add to our PO and all the associated line items. I can go ahead and click on add item to purchase order, and there's a few different options available. I can import the items from the cost item database. If you have any questions about how to add items to the cost item database or how to use it, please check out our training module on the cost item database. We can import items from the schedule of values or from the estimate, or just add a new item through add manual purchase order item. Once completed, we can also add a freight charge, a tax total, or a discount if needed. For this example, I'll go ahead and add manual purchase order item. For this one, I'll put 2x4 lumber. This is a material. Assigned to, I'll select my vendor that I chose. And for the cost code, I'll just put in framing for ceilings and start filling out the pricing. Now, because I already know what the price for the 2x4 framing is and I have the quote ready, I can just simply put the information in. I want 20 pieces and it's $4.99 per lumber. I can apply a markup or a dollar value if needed. And I can also put a description of what this is for. You can also add an internal note if you like, to keep track of what this line item is for or any internal information that you need. You can save this to my materials list, so next time you're making a line item for this purchase order, you can simply drag and drop and copy paste it. Or you can also collect on tax on this item if you'd like to click it here. Now I'll hit save and close. One of the things I mentioned at the beginning of the video is that when you're making a purchase order, you can make a simple purchase order like we just did, or you can submit a pricing request and ask vendors to submit pricing for the line items that you have. In order to do so, simply head to the unit cost and delete the value that you entered. Go to the top right hand corner and click on Submit Pricing Request. Once there, it'll generate all the different items that you have and send a web link over to your vendors for them to review the line items, review the PO, and submit a price. You can select multiple vendors as well to collect multiple bids if needed. And once done, you can collect different costs and choose the vendor that fits best for your services. One of the cool things about using Contractor Foreman is that the purchase order module speaks and interacts with a lot of the other different modules. So for example, now that the project knows that we have 20 pieces of 2x4 lumber arriving on site, when the superintendent is filling out the daily log using the daily logs module, he can actually reference this PO and help keep track of the materials being delivered. So for example, we'll go ahead and get this PO approved by hitting on approved and check out one of our daily logs for the project. If you have questions about daily logs and how to use them, feel free to check out our training video on daily logs. Now on the left hand side, we'll hit material and go to the plus item and reference our PO number 16. And here we can see who it's being delivered by, how much quantity is in the PO, and if I'm the superintendent, maybe I can put that 10 of them are being delivered today and 5 of them are being used on site. Once done, I'll go back to my purchase order and hit refresh. And as you can see, the PO is actually updated and we can keep track of the delivery within the PO as well, which is referenced from the daily log. One of the other modules that the PO is used for is the bills module. So if we go to bill history on the left-hand side, we can keep track of all the different bills that are associated with this purchase order. One of the main benefits of having a purchase order is that you can keep track of all the different bills associated to an item. So for example, if you're looking to buy a purchase order for all the lumber that's being delivered on site, you can make a purchase order for lumber and keep track of all the different receipts and bills into one PO. So as an example, if I want to generate a bill for the 10 pieces of lumber that were being delivered on site, I can go to the top right hand corner and click on Generate a Bill. I know that 10 of these pieces were being delivered, and I'm sure that the vendor is going to bill me, but for the sake of this exercise, I'll go ahead and generate my own bill. Once done, it'll make a PO for the amount based off the quantity that we entered, and will be referenced as part of the PO number 16. So if I go back to the PO, you can see that the bill is over here, and as more and more bills come to this purchase order, I can see a full summary of all the bills associated with this purchase order in the bill history. I can see the full PO amount, which is $99.8. The total payment is still $0 because the bill hasn't been paid yet, but once it is, it'll be subtracted from the PO amount, and I can see how much is remaining on the PO. And that's it. If you need help or have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us by the live chat or send us an email at support@contractorforeman.com. And if you'd like to have any more in-depth training, make sure to book a session on our training page. Thanks for watching and see you in another video. Thanks.